Hello, welcome to New Streaming Network, home of Going Solo and Going Bold. You are listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase. I am one of your hosts here today. I am Cece Shatz, and I am the president of New Streaming Network and Going Solo Network. I have my good friend here with me, Joanne Weiland. Joanne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Joanne Weiland, why land when you can fly? And I love to fly, and especially with my friend Cece, that we talk about really cutting edge technology and different topics. So it's always fun to share with our viewers and listeners. So thank you for listening and watching us, because we really do mean from our hearts to help you to grow your business as well with the things that we've learned, sometimes the hard way, sometimes over years. And so we today really, are excited about sharing with you how to be exposed, because for an example, I feel like everybody that wants to be known as an expert, that's great. But if you really don't let the world know about it, nobody will, you'll still be the best kept secret. So today we're anxious to show and talk to you about if you want extreme exposure. So that's what I feel like Cece and I are all about, that we really, really want people to find each other and be able to utilize each other's skills so that they can implement their ideas, because nobody can know about how to do everything. So as an expert, we just need to let the world know what your expertise is. Thank you.
Absolutely. We have this conversation so many times. We talk about how can we get, and I talk to other people that are experts in their particular field, whatever field that might be. How do we get our information out there to people who truly need to hear it, number one, and who need to maybe use our products and services? And it's always, kind of like a mind scratching kind of head scratching kind of thing. How do we do this? And then with technology changing, and we have to just be up on everything. So not only do we have to be experts in our field, but then we have to be kind of knowledgeable about what's going on in the world around us so that we can project ourselves out there. So again, it's probably really finding the experts that can handle that can really put you out there and get you into the most exposure that you need. So I think the number one question you have to ask yourself is, what is your target market? We don't always think about what our target market is when we're doing something. And that's really who you want to home in on when we're talking about business itself. And we don't like to refer to our target market as being, a target, right? We're thinking, oh, we're going to go in, we're going to do the heavy duty knock on the door salesman kind of pitch, right? That's not really what it's about. It's about really homing in on what we're good at and showing those out there that maybe need our products and services to really help them be able to get through their everyday lives or their work environment. And so we have to know who we're geared towards. And I think that's probably the very first thing. What do you think, Joanne?
I do, because a lot of times, we if we just spend all our time talking to people that have no idea even what we're talking about, or no need for what we're talking about, really it's not the best use of our time. So I do agree with you totally. Let's try to help people figure out how they can even determine who is their target market.
Hmm. Right, absolutely. And I know over the years, for me, because I started out as a divorce coach, right? And I
Mhm.
moved into the land of dating. So now I'm a dating coach and life coach in general. And so I've tried to think about how can I get my services out there to the masses. And while doing that, it started opening other doors for me. And so I started to create a shift in my life. And then I started getting into more of the exposure on broadcasting. So, we do here on our network, we do both radio, podcasting, and what we call TV, all internet based. And so back in the days, I had to decide what I wanted to do. And I decided then that I really felt that going into internet was the way to go. And that this is where I thought our future was going to be. And I think so often as business owners, we have to think about that. We have to think of not only where we are today, but where is our business going to be going? Where is our market going to be going in the future. And sometimes we need to kind of come around and hit that head on, right? And we're forever changing here on the network. We started out with a going solo because I was solo, right? And that was my audience. My audience was single individuals starting to live a new life for themselves, starting to branch out and move into different arenas and within their lives. And within that, they started new businesses. They started new careers, new environments for themselves. They started realizing and shaping their single life as they wanted it to be. But as they move forward into their lives, I realized that they probably are not going to be doing this totally alone, right? And so our motto always was that you might be going solo, but you're never alone. And
Mhm.
it creates an environment of teamwork, right? And so as we're moving forward and we're connecting with our experts out there, we're understanding that it takes a team in order to be able to get that exposure that we need. And so in my own business, I had to open that up into going bold, how going boldly into our lives, right? Stepping forward into our business, deciding that we want to create a new career for ourselves, going into a different branch of an environment that we wanted to do, that we decided we wanted to create and become and home in on an expert in a particular field and go boldly into that. And so we started branching out and bringing into more inspirational and more really geared towards individuals that wanted to create a new path for themselves. So going bold. And then we brought it all together with the new streaming network because understanding that in order for us here to have full exposure, and that's what we're talking about, extreme exposure, we needed to branch out and we need to be homing in on all the streaming networks that's out there. So often people think that if you're thinking about podcasting, and if you're not thinking about it, you need to be doing it because everybody and their mom's doing it. But podcasting, if we just take that particular field itself, is not enough, right? It's not enough to just do audio podcasting, which is what podcasting truly is. Now they're getting into what they call video podcasting. And so they're calling that, they're getting creative on the terms of that. They're calling it vlogging. They're calling it, what are they calling it? There's some other creative names they've come up with, but basically it's a video, right? And so a video would be a TV, right? So you go into more of the TV arena. So new streaming, we've actually branched into the TV world. So we are on Roku, we're on several other TV stations, and we can name them some as we go. And we're adding more too. And we've got another couple on the works this year that we're going to be adding to, and I hope more as we continue on. But here's the thing. If you want to have extreme, and I'm talking about extreme exposure in your business, you have to be creative, right? And yeah, so I'll let Joanne talk. I get on my soapbox about it because I love it. It's a passion for me to be able to help other people, um, share their expertise and share their knowledge and change lives. I mean, that's what our station is about. It's about changing lives one talk show at a time, and that's what I've often said. And so if you truly want extreme exposure, you have to be creative in that. And maybe you have to turn to the experts that know how to make that happen. So, Joanne, I'll open the floor for you.
Well, I think, when we were talking also, as we are talking about target markets and who our audience is, it's quite interesting for some people, and I think most people even, that we actually sometimes have more than one target. For an example, when I created Link to Expert many years ago, 20 years ago, I had to realize some days I felt schizophrenic because of the fact my one target audience was finding experts, because of the fact that those were the people that we wanted to let the world know that you could come here to Link to Expert to find an expert in minutes and hire them so you could implement your ideas fast. Well, when you're finding experts, where do you look? As an example, for me, I'm just going to use me as an example. I would go to things, meetings like NSA, National Speakers Association, to find experts that were considered professional speakers, because I also found experts often do more than one thing. Like Cece, she's a coach, but she can also speak. She can also be a host, not be one, she is one, all these things. So it's not like one size fits all, but it's also interesting that in my world, I wanted people that were genuine speakers, consultants, coaches, team builders, friends, you know, facilitators and authors as an example. So another one would be like ICF, International Coaching Federation. I would go to their meetings and, try to look for them to work together as part of my target audience. And it just helps when they really did, in my world, have a certification process, because of the fact that I was telling the world that, and still am telling the world, that these are experts. So it can't be that they just got laid off last week and now they're a coach this week, as an example. So I really look for organizations that were, um, had a certification that helped. ICA, International Consultants Association, different groups that, and then the other thing is, in this subject, when you do that, for an example, and you go to those meetings, you can meet multiple people at one time. Back then, it was more physically meeting those people. Now you can go online and go on their Zoom meetings or whatever, and still, meet lots of them at one time. But it's better, in my world anyway, to find a bunch of them than just one by one by one. And often you need to talk to them afterwards, one by one. But I'm just talking about the target audience to start finding that. And then, of course, the reason I was schizophrenic was then I needed to find people that would want to hire the different experts. So same type of thing, but with different organizations. Like recently, this week, I've been working with Leading Peers. The founder of Leading Peers, he has hundreds of members that are CEOs that have millions of dollars worth of sales, as well as make certain salaries as his thresholds to be able to join Leading Peers, to be able to share with those CEOs different insights that Leo himself has found, or other people that he brings in that have found, to help those CEOs grow their businesses. Well, that's just an example of the other side of the coin for Link to Expert, because if we don't have people in our target audience that would want to learn from experts, we only have half the coin. So that's just an example. Another one would be Meeting Professionals International, MPI, because they are event professionals that actually usually are looking for speakers or even coaches that can speak, or consultants that can speak for their events. So that's why I say about being schizophrenic, it's more that you have to sometimes think outside of the box. It's not just one size fits all, that how do they interact? And then the last section for us anyway is where the entrepreneurs hang out, that are also could be the executives that we just mentioned, but the media, because just like Cece and I are going to talk about how we get extreme exposure. Well, a lot of times when you work with the media, like Cece has this incredible media available to us to be reaching 55 networks. They actually have channels, ways to be able to expose what you're doing to the masses, and often to the masses that are in those areas that you are looking for, the target markets. So it's a way that it all fits together. And sometimes, like I say, you feel crazy because one minute you're talking to this type of person, next minute you're talking to that. But it does take time to figure out who your target market is and how do you reach them. And again, how do you reach many of them at one time instead of only one by one by one.
Yeah, that's the key. I love that what you said is that how do you reach them in the masses? And that's, I think, what the extreme, when we're talking about today, extreme exposure is. And your Link to Expert. So if you guys haven't checked it out, do it. It's LinktoEXPERT.com. And it's not only connecting all the experts like she was mentioning, but it's all the other services that she provides within the environment of Link to Experts that is real key, I think, if you want to, get more exposure out there. And, we've talked, I know, many times on the program about what the value of press releases are. you know, and blogs. I mean, the blogs is tremendous on your, offer just for your website alone, getting traffic to your website, but also edifying you as the expert of in your particular field. And so there's various different things that we can do to create exposure,
Mhm.
in our businesses.
It is true. And a lot of times people don't realize it, but you actually have to consistently and frequently do it. Because
Mhm.
I think that's the other key, Cece, is that sometimes they think they write one blog and everybody's going to know who they are, or one blog every quarter or every 6 months. But you have to consistently do it, and I think that's a key that you could repurpose. You and I are big
Mhm.
believers in taking what you already created and repurpose it. Using this show as an example, when you're interviewed on this show, it takes you 40 minutes of your time. You invest 40 minutes of your time, and we're going to talk about a lot of the ways you can repurpose that particular 40 minutes that you invested in, but we can help you actually convert it into different streams that you can send out to the masses too, to continually share with the world about your expertise.
Yeah, it's absolutely. There's many things that you can do, and as you continue to do them, one thing that I think we've talked about on previous shows, and again, I'm going to refer to previous shows because I want you to go back and listen to our extreme playlist that we have, talking about various different shows, topics, guests, and things like that we have on. So please, it's free for you. So take advantage of being able to learn from the experts that are. But it's the idea of when we're repurposing things, we don't want to do it all at one time. And that I think is the biggest mistake that
Oh,
people
yes.
do, is
Mhm.
that when they start to repurpose stuff, they do everything at once. So let's say, for instance, you do a video like this, and then you're going to do a press release, which is, I think, vital. Once we complete this show, we then bring it out into a press release, which is like an announcement, right, that the show is done. And that's a great way to be able to let people know that that you have something there for them to listen to. And it goes to the masses, right, when you do a press release. So it's not just your people that listen to it, but it's others. So you're capturing new people that are becoming aware of you. But that's one thing that you want to do. But then you want to do what I call a drip type of marketing, or
Mhm.
I'm sure, Joanne, you've got a more professional name for it, but it's different things that you do in publications and in blogs and in little short videos. The reels are now becoming very popular, so you could do a reel, but you don't want to do that all at one time. Like here on the network, we'll do the TV broadcasting, which is live, right? And it goes live into some of the TV stations. Then we don't drop it down into podcasting for a little bit, right? We wait, maybe a week or so, and we drop it down into a podcast. Then we send it out to all the podcasting platforms. And then after that, then we bring it up on some of our radio, and we distribute it to the radio. So you're not getting just one day of hurrah, right? One day of awareness. You're getting, possibly a month or two of awareness that's out there. And you're posting on social media and you're doing a various different things, but you don't do it all at one time. You just drip it through. So you're capturing new audiences as you're doing it, and it becomes almost like new content, right? Because you're kind of repurposing it as you go along, and it becomes fresh and new, and it's out there for a lot longer, and it's captured into, like, I want to call it the exposure wheel, right? Because it keeps on going.
Well, and a lot of times people don't realize either that many of the shows that you put it on the different platforms, the 55 different networks, that you take the time after we interview people to add to those, many of them are also evergreen.
Mhm.
That you stay there. So maybe you were just put there, just say today, but it stays there. So you also get that exposure ongoing. Same with when you put it on Link to Expert, it's evergreen, whatever you did over the years, even it stays there. And I think what people might not realize how long and tedious it is to put on these different networks that CC does for us. For an example, you have to have a thumbnail, you have to have the description, you have to have the title. Usually there are different formats for all of those things, as well as even if it's audio or video, depending which one. And that takes a lot of time and effort. And the reason that's so key, because again, you invested that 40 minutes of your time to do this, but what isn't it wonderful, like you, now that you did that, that there are people like us here to help you to distribute it, because it doesn't matter if you did it and nobody ever saw it or listened to it or watched it. So I really feel like even if you don't work with us, work with somebody that can help you distribute whatever marketing you are creating, because if you take all that time and money and energy to create it, make sure that you maximize the exposure of it, because that is the key, because people will, be drawn to you if they know what you can do to help make their life easier. So make sure you also include that. I know we're talking more about the target audience right now, but the key is really truly with that. If you, to tell the audience what you can do to make their life easier. So when your target audience hears that, they'll be like, wow, I got to call him right now. I got to, call them, because I've been trying to do this, whatever that, project is. And now that they found that you can do it for them in, a couple days, a couple hours, depending whatever the task is. But I really think that's really key. So make sure you lead with, what you can do for them. And what we can do for you is the extreme exposure, because not only these amazing 55 platforms that CC's taken all this time to not just make the arrangements to be part of their platform, but a lot of times even the relationship she has with the people at those platforms. So, because sometimes there's challenges that, don't always flow so smoothly. And then those, like she said, we also have ways that we distribute it on press releases. And with the press releases, when you have hundreds of media contacts and you ask them to distribute it, then they distribute it too. And we have to find many of our media contacts, put it on their business wires, because they need new news as well for their target audience. And sometimes they send it to 10, 20,000 people for us, and we don't even know who it is, but they did it for us because they need new news as well. As well as I recommended you also have your own press release services that you can also take that same press release and distribute it to them. So, I mean, you can see how it can just grow and grow and grow just with the press releases. But then you can convert it into other things after that, because a lot of people do believe that that is gospel truth if they read it on the Business Wire. But some people would rather have it just say on a blog, because then they can reply to it and ask questions to the blogger. So, then you convert your press release into a blog format and distribute it on blogging services that, like, we send out blogs to 95,000 people on LinktoEXPERT. But the other parts is there's other blogging services that syndicate it to their people too. So, I mean, there's no end to it as long as you know where to place it. And that really is key. And I think this repurposing goes way further than that. I mean, sometimes we think of the obvious like those, but think about, like, if you're a speaker or a coach and you're applying for a particular project, or maybe to do a presentation, you can include clips of this interview or the whole interview with the people that are considering hiring you as an intro video, as introducing yourself, that this is your area of expertise and this is what you could share with them, so that they would know if they'd want to hire you to be on their platform. So there's that repurposing, of course. Other things, like even now on LinkedIn, like we were talking about, doing social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, what you want to put it on. Just this morning, I heard one of the people that I work with, she claims now you can add audio intros on LinkedIn. So then you could take what, like how Cece takes the video off, and you'd have the audio that you could even put on your LinkedIn profile as, an audio introduction. And of course, not to even forget that you could create things like quizzes, and then you could even use your link to the interview so that they could use it to cheat to answer the questions on the quiz. And it's just a way for you to interact with them. You could also do it like as a survey. You survey, well, what do you think about this? Well, check out my interview on, the Link to Expert Business Showcase, and you can help find the answers to help you be able to, because then most experts are helping other people be successful too. So it's two-tier, what I call, because you're helping them, but they need help too for even their clients. So it just never ends. And the last thing that I really wanted to mention about the repurposing, you can also use this when you create products. Maybe you're creating tips, maybe books, workbooks, coloring books, how-to manuals, um, cartoons, the coloring books, comic books, you name it. You can take your expertise and create so many streams of income. We actually have 181 streams of income that we refer to at Link to Expert. But you take this URL that you have for the audio or the video of this interview, and you can even put that in there with your book as an introduction, that a lot of times people want to know who you are before they want to read your book. So you can put that in there. When you're promoting your book, you can put the link in there. But again, repurpose, and whether they're the whole 40 minutes or the one, the shorts. So there's so many ways with so many products that you can also have, but it also helps give you the credibility because they can watch you on video. And now most people really want to see and hear you before they hire you. So it's just a quick, easy way to get that done for you and repurpose it into so many ways that will benefit you, be known as the expert, be known to your target market. So thank you.
Yeah. As we're talking about this, it's a lot of stuff, you know, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I might be a speaker or coach or, you know, whatever in my particular field. And I'm thinking, how do I have time to do all of these things and still, do what I'm actually good at doing? And so that's why it's a very vital for you to really think seriously about creating a team that's going to work for you, someone that's going to get this information out for you. Because when I started, and I know you guys have probably heard this before, is that when I started, my one little talk show, no one was marketing me. No one was doing anything. And I was thinking, my gosh, and I'm a divorce coach, right? That's what the field I was wanted to go into, was doing divorce coaching. And so I thought, well, I better start marketing myself if I want to get out there and make this, worthwhile to do it. And so yeah, so I went ahead and did that. And then when I started doing it, I realized that, uh, you know, I I was good at doing it, and that other people needed to have it done. So that's why you want to be able to get your team together to be able to start putting a plan together for you to be able to get out that extreme marketing. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about marketing and what we can do to try to get it out there for you so that you can do it. Like we were talking, about the TV stations, and Joanne had mentioned about the thumbnails that we put on, right? The pictures that you put on to promote stuff or get things going. Just alone on the TV stations, I have to make like 8 different pictures. So 8 different thumbnail pictures to be able to distribute them out to the various different TV stations. And then you have the podcasting, then you have the radio. So, the experts don't have time to do those type of things. So you want to have a team together to be able to do that. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, more about wanting extreme exposure and how we can make this happen for you, and some tips and tricks on doing it. So you guys are listening to Link to Expert Business Showcase. I am Cece Shatz. I have my good friend here, Joanne Weiland, with me. And you're listening to newsstreamingnetwork.com, home of going solo and going bold. And we'll be right back. Hello, welcome back to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, which is our radio station. You are listening to newsstreamingnetwork.com, home of going solo and going bold. This is the Link to Expert Business Showcase, and I am one of your hosts, Cece Shatz. I am fondly called the Doyenne of relationship building, but I am also the president of Going Solo Network, which is home of the newsstreamingnetwork.com. We're having a little bit of trouble with our cameras today. Joanne's not, her camera seems to be off, but we're going to talk about the wanting exposure. And until we can get her camera back on and get Joanne back with us, I'm not sure what exactly has happened. But we're going to talk a little bit about the extreme exposure that we do here on our network. So we'll be closing out the show with that. So I'm going to add on unless Joanne, I think maybe she's coming back here, but let's see. What's happening? And we love live broadcasting, right? Live broadcasting is always so unique. It's different, and we love it because you just never know what's going to happen. And so we're going to talk a little bit about having extreme exposure. And so Joanne and I have put together something here, and we say 59 TV, radio, and podcast networks, social media sites. We do email blasts. We do e-newsletters, and we do them worldwide, press releases. We're starting to do shorts now, the reels that are becoming so popular. So we're doing a lot of different things in order to give you the exposure. As we stated, this particular station, we do live TV. And after we distribute it out to several different TV stations, some have picked up our streams, and we're very, very thankful for that. We're on various different streams, such as Roku. You guys know that we're on Roku. We have several different playlists on Roku, the Going Solo TV, Going Bold TV, Everyday Life TV. We're on Amazon TV, Daily Motion. We're on Stream, Rumble. We're on Vaughn, Kick, Shared TV. We're on many, many TV stations. And like I said, we've got a couple more coming up that's picking us up. We're on podcast networks, all the major networks like Apple Podcasts. We're on the WGSN radio. We're on Spodcasting, Spotify, iHeart, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible. We're on Audible too. We're on TuneIn, Player FM, Listening Notes, Samsung. We're on various different ones. On social media, we're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Blogger, Reddit, Tumblr, and of course, Link to Expert. Radio stations, we're on Stream Finder, Amazon Music, Radio FM, Streama, One Stop Radio, Live Radio, IE, and many, many more. And of course, WGSN. And then, of course, we're on Deezer, Castbox, Podcast Addicts, Podchaser. We're on Listen Notes. We're on Twitch. We're on Breaker, Pandora. We're on Pandora. We're on, really, if it's out there and we can get on it, we are on it. And so we want you to be able to know that and understand that. And that's not something that is easy for you to do. So we're going to see if we can add, and so we've made these globes so that you can see all the various exposures that you can get. So let's see if we can get Joanne back here with us. I'm not sure, her camera is not on, so I'm not sure what's happening with that exactly. So I do apologize that for everyone. But again, you have to go with the punches when you're on a live TV or live radio or live podcasting. So anyhow, I wanted to be able to bring you this because the facets of really getting extreme exposure is growing leaps and bounds. It's tremendous. We can't say enough for how the movement of that is going so quickly. And so if you're in one arena, you're stuck. And so you need to get out of that, and you need to be able to get out there and let the masses know what you do, because you would be surprised how many people really truly want to know what you're doing, and they want to be able to connect with you. And so you have to be able to allow them to be able to do that. And so we're hoping here on the new streaming network that we're doing that for you, and we're allowing that to happen this year. And we don't want to date ourselves, right? But this year we've got many new things on the horizon, and a lot more new projects that we're going to be experiencing. And it's because we want to grow, right? We want to keep growing, and you as an expert want to keep doing that. So I would suggest to you to give us a call if it's something that you maybe want and you want to entertain possibly being on our network as a guest. If you're an expert, you need to be a guest on our platform. And let me just mention, because often we talk about being a guest, and a lot of people want to get on platforms where that's free. Now, it's great. It's to be on free platforms. It's awesome to be on that. Most of the platforms, you will not get the exposure that you get here on our new streaming network. So if you're a guest and you're free as a guest, you're lucky, right? Because you have really made it to a platform that has got extreme exposure, and you're getting that for nothing, right? But let me tell you, those who join our forces with New Streaming Network, who become one of our, what we call our elite experts, right? One of our elite guests, they get even more, and they pay a very small amount. They get into our Going Solo directory. They get put on the Link to Experts platform with many blogs and press releases and various different things like that. They get a total package that is beneficial to them to be able to do that. But if you have to pay to be on a show, right? If you have to pay to be a guest on the show, what I ask of you is to look at the exposure that you're getting. Look at the platforms that you're going on, because many people go on just a handful. They go on, they do a video and they maybe drop it down into a podcast. They get it put out on Spotify, some of these others, but they don't have the extreme exposure. So if you're going to pay your dollars, right, your advertising dollars, make sure you're getting what you pay for. Make sure you're getting that major exposure that you're looking for. I'm sorry that this happened with Joanne, because she is a wealth of knowledge. I mean, this woman has been in the business for many, many years. She's an expert in what she does, connecting experts together, joining them together as a team, allowing you as an individual in your business field to be able to reach out to experts that you need to help you along the way. Because if you think you can build a business without a team or without help, It just won't happen. I have been grateful and blessed to have wonderful people in my life that have helped me and moved me along to each step along the way. And I am so grateful for that, to be able to do that. And in turn, I try to be able to give back to them. I try to help them along the way as we continue on. So if you can get a team together that can help you be able to move your business and move it in the direction that you want. And sometimes we go at a snail's pace, and then other times we just go as fast as lightning. But that doesn't mean that your business won't be successful, because sometimes we have to grow, right? Sometimes we have to crawl before we walk. And so that is truly what it is. So I would suggest to you to join with linktoexperts.com, see what they have to offer. I'm on the platform. I use it. I use it a lot for my press releases, my blogs. The connections with experts there is tremendous. It allows me to do something in a one step versus having to go, our old traditional ways of going networking is really truly out of step. I can go on Link to Experts and I can connect with thousands of experts right there at my fingertips. So that is truly a blessing in disguise. So check out linktoexpert.com. If you want any advice from Joanne, and I am terribly sorry that something happened to her camera, that she's not on, or her speaker, but just contact her at Joanne Weiland. That's Joanne, Joanne, Weiland, WEILAND.linktoexpert.com. You can connect with her there. And of course, you guys, you can connect with me at goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. I'm always happy to get any of your emails. If you want to reach Joanne, you're not able to, just send me a message, and I'll send it right on to her, and you can connect with her at goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. So I hope that you're enjoying all of our wonderful shows here on the Link to Expert Business Showcase. We are so very proud to be here with you each and every time, and I hope that you will join us for the next one. I am Cece Shatz. It is a pleasure to be with you. You're listening to the newstreamingnetwork.com, home of Going Solo and Going Bold, and I hope we are connecting with all the wonderful experts out there who are going to lead us in the path of being able to expand our businesses in a very profitable and joyous and wonderful way. So I'll see you next time. Bye for now.